Yeah, hi there. These comments are for H. I'm just using your initials for privacy purposes, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you completed, I think it's my integrated speaking practice test number 6. So I'm going to download it right now and listen to it.
According to reading passage, it is difficult to maneuver which countries are using energy as weapons.
Now wait a minute. So before you get to that detail, what is the purpose of the reading passage? It's a good idea to state the topic before you get to those details. And you also want to state both the main idea of both the reading and the listening passage.
Because there are many risks to nuclear energy, such as plutonium, the technology for producing nuclear energy, the International Atomic Energy Agency. According to listening passage.
So I think you're missing, though, what you need to do in the beginning is you want to have a topic statement. It'll kind of create the main idea of both the reading and the listening passage. So you might say something like this. The reading passage discusses the dangers of nuclear energy, and the listening passage gives an example of one of those dangers. If you do that in the beginning, then it's easier to say, first of all, according to the reading passage, using nuclear energy has certain risks, right? And then you explain about the enriched uranium and the countries using it. And here's the point you didn't exactly say. Is the International Atomic Energy Agency has difficulty monitoring what countries are doing with the enriched uranium that they have. Are they doing it, for example, to produce weapons, or are they using it to produce nuclear energy? That's the key. You didn't really express that.
It gives an example of sadly nuclear accident, former Soviet Union.
Now that's not bad. So if you said, well, the lecture's giving an example to illustrate the dangers of nuclear energy, and that would be a pretty good, I think, transition, because now it shows how the lecture is related to the information in the reading.
In 1986, the number 4 reactor at Chernobyl power plant accident.
Now, when you're speaking, you're kind of the power plant exploded and this and that. So you're kind of ending all your thought groups with rising tone, which you don't want to do, because when you're speaking in English, we have not just rising but also falling tone. So it's a combination of higher and lower pitches. So you need to work a little bit more on your intonation. Now you can improve, and you can go to my pronunciation lessons 36 through 40, and that'll give you some good tips on how you can vary your intonation more than you're doing.
Accident. 30 people were killed instantly, including 28 from radiation exposure.
I want to say radiation exposure.
Thousands of cancer deaths were a direct result of the accident.
Okay, now we're at 60 seconds. Here's the thing. Don't feel like you have to talk about everything in the lecture. What you're trying to do here is to summarize. And summary implies you're selecting the most important, the main idea, and the most important details, and then you're deselecting or not talking about the minor details. So a lot of the examples, the number of deaths and so on, I mean, it's a tragedy, it's terrible, but those are details. Focus on the bigger idea. There was a very big nuclear accident in Chernobyl, Russia, which did a lot of damage both to Russia, the world, and people in other areas as well.
The accident cost the former Soviet Union more than 3 times the economical benefits accrued. Thank you.
Pretty close, but you kind of fell short of what you were trying to say there at the end. So basically what you're trying to say is the cost of the nuclear disaster, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, cost more money than all of the money generated from the nuclear energy from the 1950s all the way up until the 1980s, at which the accident actually occurred. So you're trying to say something like that, right? Okay, now let's take a look at the rubrics. So I think this one you're going to score lower. You didn't include, I think, exactly the most important information from the reading passage. So you lost some points there. With the listening, you probably tried to talk about too much information, and then at the end you kind of misrepresented when you're trying to explain how costly the nuclear disaster was. So you couldn't exactly do that. Now, why not? It's because you have some vocabulary and grammar limitations. That's why. And these limitations are preventing you from being able to fully express information from the reading and the listening passage. Delivery, as I pointed out, your biggest problem right now is your tone. You have to work on varying your tone more than you're doing, and I think I referred you to pronunciation lessons 36 through 40, where you can work more in that area. Okay, so I'm going to put you at about 2.0 out of 4, or 15 points out of 30 on this particular practice test. I know this was a tough one. Now, for the purposes of our class, I got to give you a grade here. So 2.0 is going to put you at 70% out of 100 on this assignment.